Thanks, Colton. Welcome to the December 10th committee meeting of practice. And Brian, if for some reason you can't hear me, just let us know. You can let Adrian know in the chat. I have no voice, so I apologize in advance for that. So looking at the room and online, looks like we have a quorum. So that's fantastic. And we'll call this meeting to order then. There is no on-site packet to review. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? Oh, seeing none, we'll move to announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Any committees? I'm talking about that. Next, then we can approve the minutes. We had an opportunity to look through them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, Madam Chair, for the September 10th, 2024 committee meeting.
Thank you, Lori. Is there a second? Patty, it's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say yes.
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 Say no. The approval of the minutes has been approved this morning. Next, we'll look at our consent item agenda, practice calls report. We have a motion on the practice calls report.
It was moved after regulation review to approve the following KAR 60-15-101 definitions and functions.
No, I think just
Oh,
consent, it's just practice calls report.
It was moved to approve the consent item agenda, which included practice calls report.
You had it. Is it a second?
I'll second.
Lori. It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All disapprove say no. Any abstentions? It's been approved, it's been moved. I don't know the right language. It passed. Thank you. All right, so now we'll move on to unfinished business. And these are the 4 new regulations review that have comments on them already. But are there any additional comments that people would like to add to this before final approval?
Madam Chairman, had a question on section G. These basic caretaking mean the following tasks. Those seem very specific. Are they meant to be specific?
Which number are you looking at?
We're looking at 60-15-101, section G.
Is this where it says that the board requires a plan of study before this one? Is that what you're at?
No, I'm looking at basic caretaking, meaning the following task for 60-.
60-15.
Hold on, let me, yeah.
You want, yeah.
15101. So basic caretaking means the following tasks. What is your question?
Well, if they're meant to be specific tasks, I don't feel like the list is complete, especially in today's environment with children with Mickey buttons, feeding, ancillary feeding devices that need to be done intermittently throughout the day. Those are new advances that are required, especially for a lot of children in grade schools.
Okay, so these regs that we're reviewing are because of the legislative's request that we needed to see if they could be revoked or so that's the part that we're looking at. We want to look at the actual language inside the regulation, we can pull that and add that to March's meeting and maybe look at what language we need to add.
Okay,
And if we do that, then it would go through the process of being able to be approved.
yeah, I would like a motion to do that, please,
Okay,
for,
well, we can
for
just
that.
pull that. I think we need a motion to pull that for
No,
March. Do we just put on the March?
we'll just put
agenda?
it on March agenda. We just put it on March agenda.
And that was 60-15-101, correct? That we want to put on March agenda, okay? We can do that. So then today we're just looking at, does the road need vote?
Very well. So, Linda, just still clarifying, I don't do this again. If I see something else just specifically mentioned, could we look
Let's
at
look
this
at it.
differently for a later time to-
Uh-huh.
and then go
Yeah.
back to our basic agenda?
Absolutely.
Very well, thank you.
I mean, thanks for picking that out. It's a good time when we're looking at it, it's fresh in your mind. What other discussion items for these 4 regulations? Brian, did you have anything?
No,
Sorry.
not no, nope.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, is there a motion to approve to retain these 4 regulations?
Madam Chair, I move to move these regulations and approve the following: KAR 60-15-101 definitions of functions, KAR 60-15-102 delegation procedures, KAR 60-15-103 supervision of delegated tasks, and KAR 60-15-104 medication administration in a school.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I would just, excuse me, on 60-15-104, I would also ask that to be able to be reevaluated for a later date, please.
We'll add it to the March. We need to look at the language.
Section B, item 4, specifically.
Is there a second on Patty's motion?
Second,
Thank you. It's the, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All against say no. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, and then the next set, so these items 101 through 111. Were in our packets for initial comments and everybody had an opportunity to weigh in the notes.
I did receive additional comments that are not in this, so I will add them for the March meeting so that you have everybody's comments. I will also mention that 60-7-106, the professional conduct, that regulation was actually moved out of practice and into the investigative committee, so that's not started. I'm sorry, I didn't talk that before, so. And then again, 60-7-102 was previously determined to be revoked, so it's gonna be revoked throughout this process, so.
So these then will be
Hopefully finalized and approved in March.
March.
Yeah.
So we'll approve them in January and then,
Oh, sorry,
yeah, we have a January meeting,
we
right?
do have no, we have a March meeting.
Oh, we don't? I was thinking January, the whole March.
I was thinking we do.
Don't listen to me. Oh, Michelle. You're not listening to me.
Okay, so March.
Thank you, March. And we'll be all finished, so we'll be done. Great. Good, thank you. Next, then we have new business. And we're gonna talk about KR 60-7-105.
On page 36 of your packet, and Carol has this, the latest for the regulatory language change. I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. At the top of that page is the requested revision that you all had talked about and given me. I started it through the process, and when it got to the Attorney General's office, it kind of got stopped there because the feedback that I was given is we didn't have the authorization to do the first statement, which says, be familiar with the Mental Health Technicians Licensure Act. Even though that's been in there from 1975, listed the way it was, we do not have an authorizing statute for that. So you will see a possible revision that I have is down below, and that would say lawfully practice mental health technology as defined in the Mental Health Technicians Licensure Act. And that is actually, the authorization there would be out of 654202. It's pretty similar. I mean, I think they probably, in order to lawfully practice it, they have to be familiar with it. So it's just different in language that I hope will make it through. And then they also questioned number 2, which said, we wanted it to say function primarily in the psychiatric facility that provides services in caring for and treatment of the mentally ill, emotionally disturbed, or people with an intellectual disability. They didn't feel that 654201 gave us the authorization to do that. So I did find that, you'll see below in 654202. And then not substitute, number 3, not substitute for registered nurses or licensed practical nurses. Actually, we did have the authorization to do that. So I did not have to change that any. So the only change below would be, I would be adding 654202 in the authorization section. And that would change basically the first one. I hope that makes sense to you. It's just truly the language. Evidently was okay in 1975, but it's not now. They have some different ways that they look at things or something like that. So I just wanted you to think about if that possible revision is how you would like it to go forward, or if you want something different. But it's got to be that we have authorization to do it.
I think it's fine as it is with the revision you did.
I have one quick, no, wait, it doesn't sound like it limited scope of practice in any way, at least that way.
No, I don't think it does. It just, we just can't say that they need to be familiar with the Mental Health Technicians Licensure Act, which to us makes sense. But there's nothing in statute that says that we have the authority to say that they have
tell
to
them
do
that.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of wordsmithing, I think, probably.
So then what happens next after we?
If you want me to take the possible revision ahead that's at the bottom of the page, you just need to take that to the board tomorrow. I mean, it needs to come out of here and then take it to the board tomorrow, that they give me the direction to start that through the process, if that's what you want it to look like.
So do we have a motion to approve this possible revision that Carol's proposed?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the KAR 60-7-105 as written with revision.
Thank you, Patty. Questions for a second?
I can second.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Disapprove, say no. Moved and approved. So thank you for that. Thank you, Carol, for doing the work on that. And then the next piece, certified nurse midwife and certified professional midwife discussion under business.
Okay, so on page 37 of your packet, there is a comparison chart created by the American College of Nurse Midwives that clarifies the distinction between a CNM, a certified midwife, and a certified professional midwives. Page, and that goes for a few pages. I felt that that chart was a very good explanation of the 3 roles. On page 40, of your packet, I did some general review of some various, organizations and associations for the Registry of Midwives. The differentiation, I guess it came to the attention of the, of KSBN when we had, a complaint, that, alleged, a CPM, was involved, in a delivery with a fetal demise, and, there was no, licensing, regulatory oversight. So the board felt, to start the process of looking at the CPM. I'm just letting you know what's available to send to you to review. I don't know. I think it starts with the practice committee and perhaps it's to be, recommended, any recommendations from our committee to the board and where it goes from there. That would be probably the start. But I was asked to start this process. There are currently 34 CPNs in Kansas, 108 licensed CNNs by Kansas. Some of the CPNs do not have an RN.
So who are they certified through in Kansas, is it in?
I think that they're just through their certified professional, what is it, this NARM, NARM. When we tried to report, the complaint, we were told that they would only accept the complaint from the actual patient. And that regulatory agencies even couldn't refer that type of situation, just to make sure that somebody gets some guidance or oversight. But so there's a lot of public safety concern, I think. But there's also, they're practicing in areas where perhaps there isn't maybe there's a cultural issue or a language issue, and people don't want to go to the hospital to deliver. So there's that consideration.
But I have a question that are on the CPMs and these professional governing organizations that give grant licensure to seniors, and who regulates those?
Currently, the CPMs are not regulated in Kansas. I believe there are some states that do require some licensing with the CPMs. From my review.
Do they have any educational requirements to go through to be called a CPN?
This is what's on that chart, that comparison chart, so. There's
And
education.
are
High
certified,
school,
Our minimum degree required is a high school.
high school diploma or equivalent.
for the certified nurse midwives, there's both national standards for that, national testing, et cetera. And that's kind of scary. To have someone supposedly doing the same thing, but not have the same national standards as a certified nurse midwife, irregardless of the
Mhm.
situation it's in that they may be needed as.
Which I think was kind of what the board was kind of asking us, what do you do when you become aware of it? When you know, after the public safety.
But as some of them aren't nurses, do we have any jurisdiction?
We do not currently know.
Wow.
I'm not even sure. I don't know if anybody would have any regulatory oversight.
National organization.
Well, NARM actually says there's a certification and recertification, but I don't know.
And then there's the Delivery Education Accreditation Council.
We actually have a nurse midwife that was on the APRN committee, or is on the APRN committee, that might be able to tell us something about this.
Please.
She's pretty knowledgeable.
I couldn't hear all the questions. What's your first question?
We have many. So the CPM you know, we're looking at it, but because some of them aren't nurses, or maybe most of them aren't nurses, we truly have no jurisdiction over them, but does anybody, so NARM is what we see that they're normally going through, does
The registry,
right, is that
that's our certifying body.
that's a certified body, is there anything that's regulatory about them that would,
think
if
most of
something
the-
happens?
Time, it's a peer review kind of thing,
Okay,
is what I hear.
So even if they wouldn't fall under the jurisdiction of the Nurse Practice Act, would they fall under the jurisdiction of the state medical board? In terms of being able to practice medicine?
think so, because they're not licensed healthcare providers,
So they're just basically in business.
high school graduates.
Is licensed in 35 states in the District of Columbia.
Many
And-
states have a midwifery board
Okay.
that covers both nurse midwives and professional midwives. We don't have a separate
don't?
board.
Really? They cover what now? They cover both?
Have a board of midwifery,
Okay.
Yeah.
like New York State.
And so it covers both the CPM, the CM, and the CM.
And the CM, and a certified midwife is generally usually somebody who got educated outside of the country or was a midwife outside of the country, came here and took the same certification exam that certified nurse midwives take,
Okay,
but went a different pathway to get there. Because we're pretty unique in the United States of having nurse midwives.
Mhm.
In other countries, you become a midwife
okay.
without becoming a nurse.
So it doesn't CM, but do they also cover the CPMs?
Boards of midwifery in other states, some states do, but not all the boards of midwifery even.
And in Kansas?
We have nothing for them to. Nothing for them.
There is no oversight.
There is no oversight.
Yeah. Yeah, it was new to us. That's why we're like, what do we do? Do we do?
And I think they like kind of not having oversight.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
We have asked, do you want to, because the International Council, the ICM, the International Council of Midwives, recommends all pathways to midwifery as being appropriate for different levels of care for different folks. And certified professional midwives believe that their specialty is home birth.
Homework, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw in the KDHE has the language of certified professional midwife under their maternity center statute.
Yeah,
So that's the
that
only
got
place
added
I-
a few years ago.
That what?
That got added a few years ago by one particular birth center that wanted it added because they wanted to have CPMs as part of their staff.
Okay, because that was the only place I found
It's
it.
the first place, that's the only place it's
Okay,
mentioned.
because I was like, am I missing something? Okay. Interesting. Okay. Do you have any thoughts or recommendations that the committee should like research further or? I don't know where to go from there.
Well, I strongly believe that when somebody's being discussed, they ought to be at the table. So, I don't know if there is a Kansas Midwives Association. I don't know if that's the way to find out who the CPMs are, get a list of CPMs in the state. I don't know if they have an organizational kind of hierarchy like ACMM Kansas affiliate has
Right.
or anything, or someone to speak for them as a group.
Mhm.
I
They
think
do.
the president,
We do. Looks like, looking at the national organization, Kansas has a chapter. For the email.
There we go.
So I have a question. Let me see if I can put this right. If CPMs have ability to take a test or a license to get it, but there's no national board organization governing it for standards, et cetera, what does it defer to you, or what does it mean then? seems like it's pretty meaningless. Does that make sense? Does that? I mean, you have to have a national standard to which you aspire and test out to meet standards. And if there are no for that, how does, it doesn't seem like it means anything.
Well, I'm just looking up the recertification to see what it says about even recertification.
I'm the president of Cheryl Gates, CPM. And
Cheryl would be a good person to talk to.
Cheryl, okay.
So in talking to these people, are we looking for if something to come to the Kansas State Board of Nursing, how to get it moved on to somebody else? Since they're not nurses?
Or replace the even, we've got a report of the fetal demise now. You know, who do we move that to?
Yeah, where does it go? For a governing body oversight.
Or do they even keep track of that?
Is that what we're, I guess is that what we're asking
Yeah.
for?
What's
Kind of
the
what
question?
next steps?
What do you wanna ask her?
No, my question is like, okay, now that we have, the CPMs and it's reported to the Kansas State Board of Nursing, but they're not nurses. What are our next steps? Is that what our question is?
The board wanted us to what, find a pathway for these reports?
So, yeah,
Pathway, okay.
from what I understood, they were just where you start to kind of review and figure out next steps and who. Yes. sorry.
And did anybody submit it to the maternal mortality review committee? Or perinatal mortality
We've
quality?
talked with them, I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if that would
And
be
then
done.
even if it is reported. And they know about it, to Melissa's point, if they're not nurses, et cetera, or being oversight, what? It seemed it becomes a legal matter than a professional matter.
I think it's very muddy.
Weird, I didn't.
Health technicians and we do. Her question to me is if we have licensed mental health technicians. We do, and there's a licensed mental health technician act. But yes, they are underneath us, and I think part of it is because the licensure, and they do have very similar to like LPNs, except they have more mental health. But
So that was a statutory act. It was, so they would have to come.
from the legislature probably to give us the authority to do.
I think that would be my suggestion, Linda, is to request
a representative.
a representative to, and move forward with a motion for the state to give oversight to nursing for both organizations, if that's what they're doing. No,
So let's start with maybe just becoming educated.
Yeah, getting ready. Because it may be something, they're not nurses, it may be that they do need to fall under a different branch of a trade.
but
They're not licensed nurses, so I don't know that we
I
could,
think it's just the oversight that I'm most concerned about, because if you've got a fetal demise, where does that go in terms of
right,
reportability, other than just a fetal demise?
right. I think if we get more information from a CPM, like she said, Cheryl would be a good resource, then at least that gives us a little bit more idea of what really happens or where it goes, or there could already be a reporting, we just don't know what it is.
It's true.
We barely know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, we barely, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're lucky we got the CPM part, right? So,
I know.
so let's, she said that, Mike, no, I do cardiac, not another baby.
So we will ask then Cheryl Bates to possibly come in March to see if she can educate the committee on what the
What
CPM
happens
does.
with it, yeah.
And
Even if she's got something she can send to us ahead of time, so when we get packets, we can start looking at it, so we don't ask stupid questions that we could have already known answers to. And make most efficiency of our time here.
That sounds like a start.
Voice is going.
I'm sorry, what did you say? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
So it looks like we've gone through all of our items, looking at the agenda for the 2025 meeting, March 2025 committee meeting. So we will do our final approval of our regulations. We have Cheryl come and
60-15, we're gonna start that conversation about the two. You wanted to kind of look at the language.
oh, that one of the language, yes, there's
Yeah.
two of the language, the 60-15-101 and the 60-15-104.
Mhm.
Is there anything else I'm missing? Okay, that's it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Colton.
See you tomorrow.